All right, Hollywood, welcome back, y'all. Today we're diving into one of the most chaotic figures in YouTube history, FouseyTube. Yousef Erakat, aka Fousey, was once on top of the YouTube world with millions of fans, countless viral videos, and a story that seemed destined for greatness. But as we've seen time and time again, fame isn't always kind. Fousey's career has been a roller coaster of highs and lows, filled with public meltdowns, bizarre rebrands, and endless controversy. Now, as he reemerges under a new persona, Out YSC, we're breaking down how Fousey went from YouTube royalty to a cautionary tale, and whether there's any hope for redemption. Buckle up, because this story is as wild as it gets. When FouseyTube burst onto the YouTube scene in the early 2000s and 10s, he was an unstoppable force. His mix of comedic sketches, pranks, and motivational content struck a chord with millions of viewers. By 2015, he had amassed a massive following, becoming one of the most recognizable names on the platform. Fousey wasn't just a content creator, he was a brand. From collaborating with major creators to hosting live events, he positioned himself as a voice of positivity and self-improvement. His fans adored him for his relatability and authenticity, seeing him as someone who wasn't afraid to be vulnerable. But even in these early days, the cracks were beginning to show. Fousey's desire for validation and his tendency to overpromise and underdeliver hinted at the turbulence to come. Success came quickly, but so did the pressure, and Fousey wasn't prepared for what lay ahead. As his fame grew, so did the expectations. Fousey's fans began to notice a pattern. He'd announce grandiose plans, only to abandon them when things didn't go his way. From movie deals that never materialized to ambitious projects that fell apart, his career became defined by unfulfilled promises. One of his most infamous moments was the July 15th, 2018 event he titled "Hate Dies, Love Arrives." Fousey claimed it would be a life-changing festival featuring performances by Drake and other A-list artists. The reality? A poorly organized event that ended in disappointment and ridicule. Fousey's emotional breakdown during the aftermath was broadcast to the world, showcasing the toll that fame had taken on his mental health. For many, it was the beginning of the end for FouseyTube as they knew it. By 2019, Fousey's career was in freefall. His content had grown stale, his audience was dwindling, and his mental health struggles were becoming increasingly public. Despite multiple attempts to stage a comeback, he couldn't recapture the magic of his early days. Fousey turned to live streaming as a way to reinvent himself, but the format only amplified his impulsive behavior. His streams were chaotic, filled with arguments, outbursts, and erratic decisions. Fans who once supported him began to distance themselves, unable to keep up with his constant drama. At this point, it became clear that Fousey's biggest obstacle wasn't the platform or the content, it was himself. His inability to manage his emotions and his relentless pursuit of validation were driving away the very audience he was trying to connect with. Fans began noticing a predictable pattern in Fousey's behavior, dubbing it the Fousey Cycle. First, he'd disappear, often citing a need for self-reflection or mental health recovery. Then he'd re-emerge with a new project or persona, promising to be better than ever. For a while, things would go well. He'd gain attention, rebuild his audience, and start trending online. But as the pressure mounted, his impulsive tendencies would resurface, leading to public meltdowns and burned bridges. The cycle always ended the same way, with Fousey crashing and burning, only to repeat the process months later. This repetitive behavior frustrated even his most loyal fans, many of whom began to see through the facade. Instead of growing and learning from his mistakes, Fousey seemed trapped in a loop of self-destruction. In a desperate attempt to reinvent himself, Fousey declared the death of his YouTube persona. FouseyTube is dead, he announced, rebranding as Out YSC. This new identity was supposed to mark a fresh start, but fans weren't convinced. Out's debut single, First Day Out, was meant to be a statement. Instead, it was met with ridicule, poor production quality, cringeworthy lyrics, and a lackluster music video directed by King Bach turned what should have been a career-defining moment into a disaster. For a creator with over 10 million subscribers, the single's low view count was a stark reminder of how far Fousey had fallen. His once loyal audience had moved on, leaving Out YSC to fend for himself in a crowded and unforgiving industry. Perhaps the most telling aspect of Fousey's downfall is how it compares to his peers. Take Roman Atwood, for example, a fellow YouTuber who rose to fame around the same time. While Fousey spiraled, Roman built a stable career, invested wisely, and transitioned into a fulfilling family life. The stark contrast between the two highlights Fousey's biggest missteps. Instead of using his wealth to secure his future, he squandered it on flashy cars, jewelry, and other material possessions. His impulsive spending habits left him with little to show for years of hard work. For fans who watch both creators rise to fame, Fousey's downfall serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of chasing clout without a clear plan. Fousey's attempt to break into music as Out YSC was meant to be his grand comeback. The single First Day Out was hyped for months with promises of raw emotion and a visual experience unlike anything fans had seen before, but the reality was far from the dream Fousey had sold. The music video, directed by former Vine star King Bach, showcased Fousey breaking out of a coffin in a symbolic gesture of rebirth. Instead of inspiring his audience, it became a laughingstock. The video's poor editing, amateur sound quality, and bizarre dance sequences made it hard to take seriously. Even with over 10 million subscribers, the video barely cracked 50,000 views in its first day. Fans and critics alike questioned whether Fousey truly believed in the project or if it was just another desperate attempt to stay relevant. Either way, First Day Out became a glaring reminder of how far his star had fallen. One of the most frustrating aspects of Fousey's story is his repeated inability to secure his financial future. Despite earning millions during his peak, his spending habits left him vulnerable when the YouTube revenue streams dried up. Instead of investing in businesses, real estate, or other long-term assets, Fousey poured his money into luxury cars, expensive jewelry, and lavish experiences. He rented high-end condos in Los Angeles, burned through cash at massage parlors, and lived as though the money would never run out. By the time his income slowed, Fousey found himself scrambling to maintain his lifestyle. His attempts to re-enter the spotlight through streaming and music weren't just about regaining fame, they were acts of desperation to recover financially. Unfortunately, those efforts only seemed to dig the hole deeper. Fousey's chaotic behavior hasn't just alienated fans, it's also cost him valuable relationships. Over the years, he's had falling outs with collaborators, friends, and even his own family. The once tight-knit circle that helped him rise to fame has all but vanished. Take, for example, his relationship with Roman Atwood. The two co-headlined a world tour and seemed to share a genuine friendship. But as Fousey's behavior became more erratic, their paths diverged, with Roman focusing on family and business while Fousey spiraled into controversy. Even within his own streams, Fousey's treatment of employees and associates has raised eyebrows. From firing staff midstream to lashing out at those closest to him, his erratic behavior has made it nearly impossible for anyone to stick by his side. Live streaming has become a cornerstone of Fousey's recent career, but it's a format that seems almost tailor-made for disaster in his case. The unfiltered nature of streaming means there's no buffer between Fousey and his audience, a recipe for chaos given his impulsive tendencies. Streams have featured everything from heated arguments with fans to cringeworthy rants about his perceived enemies. In one infamous clip, Fousey lashed out at a fan for not tipping during a donation drive, exposing the fragile ego that lies beneath his brash persona. While streaming has allowed Fousey to stay connected with his remaining audience, it's also highlighted his inability to handle pressure. Instead of rebuilding his reputation, it's become yet another platform for his self-destructive tendencies. It's impossible to discuss Fousey's journey without acknowledging his mental health struggles. Over the years, he's been open about his battles with bipolar disorder, depression, and anxiety. While his honesty has earned him praise, it's also highlighted the challenges of navigating fame with a fragile psyche. The pressure of being constantly in the public eye has exacerbated these struggles. Every misstep is magnified, every outburst dissected, and every failure turned into a headline. For someone as emotionally volatile as Fousey, this level of scrutiny can be overwhelming. While mental health is no excuse for bad behavior, it's clear that Fousey's struggles have played a significant significant role in his downfall. The question now is whether he's willing to take the steps necessary to heal, or if he'll continue down the path of self-destruction. Fousey's story is a cautionary tale about the dangers of chasing fame without a solid foundation. His rise to YouTube stardom was meteoric, but his inability to manage the pressures of success has left him in a constant state of chaos. As he tries to reinvent himself as Out YSC, it's hard not to wonder if this is just another chapter in the endless Fousey Cycle. Will he finally learn from his mistakes, or is he doomed to repeat the same patterns over and over again? Let us know your thoughts, Hollywood. Is there still hope for Fousey, or has he burned too many bridges? Go ahead and like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss a beat. Peace.